I'm Rob, and I'm a completist. What does that mean? It means that there are artists that I love, and I love them so much. I have everything they released. Quite a few. The Beatles, the band, uh, Creedence, U2. I could go on. We're going to talk about one of those artists for whom I own their entire discography. This is for Jack from the Vinyl Martini, so stay tuned. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. As I mentioned off the top, we're going to talk about an artist that I'm a completist for. This is a video for Jack from the Vinyl Martini, a fellow member of the vinyl community that is celebrating his second anniversary in the VC, as am I actually. He started a few weeks before I did, January of 2 years ago. So happy anniversary, Jack. So he's running a contest, and of course, I would love to do whatever I can to support other channels. Jack would like us to give a shout out to two other channels in the vinyl community that we feel are, I guess, deserving of more exposure or recognition than they currently have. And then he would like us to show the entire discography that we own from one of our favorite artists. So easy on both counts. The two channels that I would like to shout out. First, my new friend Joe, Racer Joe. Joe is based in Regina, Saskatchewan. Joe and I have been on many live streams together in the last month. Joe puts out videos at an impressive rate, and I very much enjoy when I get to hang out with Joe virtually. I'll put in a side plug here. Next Tuesday, Joe will be hosting his first ever live stream. It's going to be a weekly show where we talk about concerts that we've been to. I'm honored to be a guest on the inaugural episode, so keep an eye out for that. Racer Joe. The other channel that I think really deserves some more love, my good friend Curtis over at Young LP Lovers, another fellow Canadian based in Eastern Canada. I've known Curtis virtually, again, for probably a year and a half or so. He used to be overseas when the pandemic hit and came back to Canada. And he and I have a shared mutual admiration for some stuff, but Curtis has a far broader musical palette than I ever will. So please check out Young LP Lovers and Racer Joe. I will leave links to both of their channels in the description. Now, the main focus of Vinyl Martini's contest is to show the entire discography of an artist that you own. I have lots, but I'm going to go with one of my favorites. I did a video about this guy's entire discography almost 2 years ago and nobody watched it. So I'm going to do it again. And that guy is Matt Mays, East Coast Canadian rocker, sort of born in Hamilton, Ontario, raised in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, now lives in Ancaster, Ontario, where he does live concerts at his farm that you can attend, and I will do that this summer. I've said many times, I think Matt makes the greatest rock and roll in Canada today. So I'm going to talk about Matt's discography, but it doesn't actually start here with this first album. It starts here with something I'm willing to bet I'm the only person that owns this. This is a band called the Guthries. This came out in 2000, and I believe it was an independently released album. The Guthries were a band from Eastern Canada, of which Matt was a member for this first album. There are 14 songs in here, and I think Matt wrote about 4 of them. All the other members took turns writing songs as well. They're kind of an East Coast indie folk kind of thing, but the songs that Matt does, you get a hint of where Matt's going to go in his solo career. It's hard to see, but that fella right there in the cowboy hat, that's Matt. Very, very, very obscure record. A couple of the guys on here would later play with Matt in his band and in El Torpedo. The Guthries, off Windmill from 2000 is where Matt's career started. In 2002, Matt put out his self-titled debut. I shouldn't cover up his face. There we go. This is a fantastic record. I think this up there for my favorite Matt Mays record. Little more rootsy than his rock stuff later on, but I mean, this is still a rock record, but with tinges of sort of root stuff in here. This, I think, I mean, Downtown was probably, Downtown and City of Lakes, I think, were the two songs that did anything. But I mean, if you're not into Canadian music, you haven't even heard of those. But if you kind of like the Tom Petty, Bruce Springsteen, John Mellencamp, it's kind of you know, it would swim in that pool, I would think. I love the album artwork on this. I believe this was done by Matt's brother, I think. So Matt Mays' self-titled debut from 2002. 2005, Matt released this album, Matt Mays and El Torpedo, made up of some of the people from his previous band, and they call themselves El Torpedo. This was the one that gave Matt mainstream success. There was a song in here called Cocaine Cowgirl, which widespread radio airplay back in 2005. And as a result, he toured across Canada, opening for Blue Rodeo. And then he actually toured the States with Kid Rock, ironically. This is just like the first album, but a little more rock. And it's bloody fantastic. Again, I love the cover art on this. It kind of goes with the first album. In 2006, Matt took kind of a left turn, and he released this. It is called Music from When Angels Make Contact. So the idea was that Matt was conceiving a independent motion picture that he wanted to make, and this was the soundtrack for it. And they actually started production on the movie, but I guess ran out of funding, and the movie never happened. No one's ever seen it, but the soundtrack was released. It's a little different than his other stuff. I mean, sonically it's similar, but I don't know, it's a little more abstract and a little less straightforward rock. It's not an album that I listen to a lot, in all honesty. 2008, rejoined forces with El Torpedo to put out Terminal Romance. This album kicks ass. Balls to the wall rock and roll. I absolutely love it. Building a Boat, Tall Trees, the title track Terminal Romance, Stand and Deliver. Like, all those songs were, you know, fairly well known if you're sort of into the Canadian music scene at all. This was just an awesome record. 2012, Matt parts ways with El Torpedo and goes back out as Matt Mays and releases this album called Coyote. A couple of the guys from El Torpedo remain in his band, Adam Baldwin and Jay Smith, his guitar players. This is phenomenal. This is Matt's career-defining album in my mind. This was nominated and won the Juno for Rock Album of the Year. For those who don't know, Juno is the Canadian equivalent to a Grammy, so pretty prestigious. This is a wonderful record. Indio was the single. I think I've told this story before. I saw Matt, I've seen Matt many times, but I saw him on this tour in Hamilton. And sadly, 2 days later, when the band was in, I think it was either Edmonton or Calgary, Jay Smith, his guitar player, took his own life in his hotel room, and they found him in the morning. I remember I was shocked when I heard the news from a mutual friend. I heard before the news broke, because, you know, 2 nights before, I'm standing 2 feet in front of Jay as he's playing, and my friend and I are talking about him after the show, and it's just a sad thing. But I kind of have a soft spot for this album because I got to see the second to last performance of Jay Smith, who was a very talented guitar player, but ultimately, I guess, a troubled individual. 2017, Matt put out this album, which is called Once Upon a Hell of a Time. Again, just another great rock and roll record. I don't know that there were any singles off of here per se. I love everything, to be quite honest. I think the best song off here is probably Sentimental Sins. They're all great songs. I mean, I don't think Matt's written a bad song yet. I can honestly say, with the exception of When the Angels Make Contact, I would never skip a Matt Mays song on any record because they're all so goddamn good. The very next year in 2018, Matt puts out this. Kind of looks familiar, doesn't it? This is called Twice Upon a Hell of a Time. This is the exact same record as Once Upon a Hell of a Time, except all acoustic. After he released, called the electric version of the album, he thought this would make a good acoustic record, so he went and re-recorded everything acoustically. And I gotta say, I think the acoustic version is vastly superior to the electric version. And I think that's maybe because everything Matt did was straight up loud electric rock and roll. So this is the first time we got those awesome Matt Mays songs not loud electric. New York City Girls is my favorite on here, but probably my least favorite on Once Upon a Hell of a Time. It's just such a different take on the song as all of these are. What a great record, and what a cool concept to, you know, do an acoustic version of an album you've already released. I mean, he's not the first guy to do it, but he did it incredibly well. Okay, in 2021, Matt puts out an album that not a lot of people know about, actually, and I don't know that I've ever seen it in a store. This is called From Burnside with Love. It's a triple LP. It's a concert that was recorded in Quebec just prior to the pandemic. Think MTV Unplugged, and that's exactly what this is. This is Matt Mays doing an unplugged concert. It's Matt with his normal band and guests. I don't know if you can see it. With guests, Asa Brosius and Kendall Carson, pedal steel and fiddle joining his band. And this is a career-spanning live acoustic set. I mean, he covers songs from every single one of his albums over the course of 6 sides of vinyl. And it is fantastic. This was released as you can order it off his website, and they did a live webcast of the concert film that comes along with this. I guess you can probably still buy this from his Bandcamp store, but I've never seen it in a record store per se. But amazing. It just shows how great him and his band are live. And lastly, in 2020, Matt put out this, Dog City. There's Matt on the back with a cartoon dog. And the front cover is all fan-submitted pictures of their dogs. This is what Matt did when he was locked up in quarantine like the rest of us. He put together this concept album, which is life from the perspective of a dog. I don't like it. It's not that it's bad, it's not as good as his other stuff. I think he was going a little shack wacky like the rest of us were during quarantine. So yeah, don't like it. I don't listen to it, but because I'm a completist, I have it. There you go, Jack. There's my entire discography for Matt Mays, the best rocker in Canada. That's what I say, and one of my favorite artists of all time. So thanks everybody for watching. I will leave links to Racer Joe and Young LP Lovers. Please check out their channels, and check out Vinyl Martini, and you can see Jack's contest starter video for his 2-year anniversary in the VC. Thanks everybody for watching. Catch you on the flip side.